Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. What can you say, dude? Jalen mother bleeping Ramsey. Getting it done today. The Jalen Ramsey game was here. This is why you bring him in. This is why you have the defense solidified. If this is 70% Jalen Ramsey, as he claims, I don't even know what 100% Jalen Ramsey is going to be. But this dude was an absolute monster today for your Miami Dolphins, sealing the deal with that clutch interception. It scared me a little with him on the ground there, but he was absolutely amazing. And this Dolphins defense today completely held the fort down on a frustrating day for the Dolphins offense, mostly just because of ball control. You look at it and you're like, yeah, the numbers are pretty good. You can't really bat an eye. You had 400 yards of total offense. It was just, man, the turnovers were frustrating as hell today. And so this defense has just completely rounded into form. And after a week where they give up 14 points to the Kansas City Chiefs, they now have, after the bye week, give up 13 points to a Raiders team that, yes, is starting a rookie, but has a lot of firepower too. I mean, make no mistake. You're talking about Josh Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the league. You hold him today to 39 yards on the ground. And then Davante Adams was held under a hundy today. Outside of his real bombski, they really held him in check. And that one, he kind of just got through the safeties willy-nilly. But when Jalen Ramsey was on him, clamps, dude. I mean, just put it on. And look, this guy's a star. I think it's one of the things that has been maybe overlooked with this Dolphins team because people have said, maybe he's a little long in the tooth. Maybe he's not the same guy. Maybe Jalen Ramsey's not the same guy. You're talking about a man who has been bona fide as the best cornerback in this league since he's basically walked into this league. And today he just showed you it's just huge plays, big time interceptions, coverage, everything. And this defense just showed up in the biggest way against a Raiders team that was riding high a little bit. It was one of these tests that's going to be interesting because this was like kind of a no narrative game for the Dolphins. I know everybody loves to play the narrative bowl with them, and it's like, they beat a bad team or they beat a good team. What is it? And so you have a Raiders team that's really kind of cut down the middle here and was coming in with a lot of momentum because of their 2 wins, and everybody's feeling Tony Pierce. And they're obviously playing their ass off for the guy. They are very limited with Aiden O'Connell and what he can do for them from a standpoint of, he's a rookie. And so, you're not going to feel like you're going to put the game in this guy's hands. They were going to try and be pretty conservative with him. But for the defense to just come through time and again in this second half was incredible because they get to this game and, you would feel like it just always felt like the Miami Dolphins were inching towards putting it away. And then they'd shoot themselves in the foot. It was either a Tua pick or a Julian Hill fumble, or Tua had the fumble right out of the gate, which caused which the Raiders really could never put the death knell on the Dolphins. It could never really have that huge haymaker from what they from all the gifts the Miami Dolphins were giving them. So this is just one of those where it's like, look, this could have gone bad. This could have gone in a direction of you don't win this game. This could have gone in the direction of, hey, the Dolphins finally got caught sleeping, got caught slipping, and it didn't. And I think the thing that encouraged me as a fan is, what the issues were. The issues were pretty simple, that you didn't take care of the damn football. And when you do that and you see these numbers, the Dolphins probably could have put up 35 points today. Instead, they just were left with a mere 20 and only 6 in the second half with Jason Sanders, always having you hoping and praying. It's like, all right, 50-yarder, this is a coin flip. If it's inside 50 yards, it's good. That's how we know with him. That's pretty much how it always goes with him. And probably good for him to get some kicks up because it's been a little bit of work for old Jalen Ramsey, for old Jason Sanders, excuse me. Jalen Ramsey always doing amazing work. From the offensive standpoint, it did feel very much today like with the offense, it was very much a Tyreek Hill heavy game for Tua. He was finding Tyreek Hill a lot. Cheetah continues these just incredible numbers when he gets on the board with that touchdown. Willy-nilly, super fast. he's just on this incredible breakneck pace, which is right now standing at, he had 146 yards today with that touchdown, which I believe puts him at, let's see, for the season, he's over 1,200 yards for the year. And for him, I mean, like the pace just is incredible. He went out in the I got somebody mad at me on Twitter because I was just quoting Tyreek Hill today on the pregame show, and I was like, his quote is, "Cheetah don't get hurt." As it was like, oh, you see what happened? Cheetah got hurt. It's like, that is not a mush, dude. I'm quoting the man. He said it, not me. Now, if you want to call me a mush, you could probably go with my Hard Rock betting today because I started my day with an anytime touchdown on Durham Smythe. He ended up being inactive, which put me in a lesson which I'm never going to do that again. If a guy's on an injury report and I'm going to do anytime touchdown on him, I'm never going to do that again. I also was unaware that I was like, oh yeah, Durham Smythe had no tight ends have caught a touchdown this year. Huh. That's probably why the odds were so good on that. Either way, threw $10 down the drain on that. And then I went on Achane for 2 touchdowns today, and he was done basically after a series, which was probably the worst news of the day today. You know, we were all very excited for the return to De'Von Achane, and he gets his right knee banged up again. Now, according to Mike McDaniel, they were being ultra conservative with him, that they were in a position where he could have come back in the game, but it was the same knee that he had hurt, so they were going to go uber cautious on that. So you got a little bit more of a dose of De'Von Achane today, who did end up with a touchdown catch that put the Dolphins up for really good in this game. They really never looked back because the Dolphins put themselves in a spot. There were a couple weird things that happened. So this game starts off, and they throw to the tight end Michael Mayer, their tight end, and the game starts off. Andrew Von Ginkel punches out the ball, and they say that he doesn't make a football move. And it should have been, I think, a scoop and score. I thought this was a bogus call because here's the thing about football move, and this goes back to the Tyreek Hill thing the week ago, where Tyreek Hill has the ball, but he can't really make a football move because the ball's batted out. And so they didn't call it there, and Tyreek Hill ends up yakking up the scoop and score. Well, this time with Mayer, he catches the ball, he starts to turn, Von Ginkel punches the ball out. I don't understand why that's not a fumble. I don't understand why that's not a clean fumble. It's not like he never had possession of it. He had possession of it. He can't make a football move because Von Ginkel lodged the ball out with his hand. I thought that was a stupid call. I thought that the Dolphins should have been up 7-0 on the scoop and score immediately. So they end up coughing the ball up right away. And so they end up coughing the ball up, and it gets overturned because it was a touchdown, so it was automatic review. They go back, Raiders punt. Dolphins get the ball back, and this was kind of the start of the theme of the day. The Dolphins get the ball back. Tua runs for it on 3rd down, and he fumbles it before reaching the ground. Antonio Pierce, they call him down. Antonio Pierce has to challenge it, gets overturned, Raiders ball. Now, they only get a field goal out of it, those were the two huge, there was some huge swings here, and it was a case of they got 2 big turnovers, and they could only really turn it into 6 points. If those things could have been touchdowns, it could have been a really bad day for the Miami Dolphins. But they did not. And so then after that, Dolphins, they were able to get out of the lead. We talked about that Cheetah touchdown. Then Raiders answered basically right back with a haymaker of their own. Devontae Adams gets the bomb ski, really his only highlight of the day. And that gets the Raiders up for good. And so, the big thing on that one, Achane ends up getting hurt. Achane gets hurt, hurts his knee, goes to the locker room. And then this was so the Dolphins are marching down. Tua finds Cheetah again. The Dolphins ended up getting a big-time penalty with Achane getting a face mask, puts him in the red zone. They go false start. Tua then gets it to Achane for 9 yards. It's 4th and 1. Dolphins go for it, and they try, giant Mike McDaniel Jones, and the wheelbarrow taketh away there. The play gets blown up, so the Raiders get it back. Ends up being a little bit of a back and forth. So nothing there. So the next drive, Tyreek Hill, we see him after this play. He ends up going back to the locker room. That's why the guy got mad at me. Huge play by Kader Kohu. He ends up kind of stalling out that drive with his stops. Then Tua starts getting on a drive where he starts feeding Jalen Waddle. The one thing that was weird, Jalen Waddle, this was basically his most productive drive was with Tyreek Hill out. So that was an interesting thing because it really did feel like today for the offense, it was just Mostert and just Tyreek Hill outside of this one run from Jalen Waddle. It just felt that way. Like anytime you need to play, it's always going to Cheetah. And so once again, like Jalen Waddle has his moments, but this has not really been the breakout year I think we've all expected from Jalen. You know, it seems like every week, and he'll probably end up with great numbers when you look back at the totality. It's just like you're going up against Tyreek Hill. Everything looks ridiculous. But, yeah, it was very noticeable. Like the only time you really kind of felt Jalen Waddle out there was during this drive where Cheetah was out, and he was basically just feeding him. But it was productive. He goes to Cheetah on that drive. Then he gets a big pass to Robbie Chosen, and then this is where he finds De'Von Achane over the middle for a touchdown. Dolphins go up 14-10. And it really, you thought at this point, like, all right, there's no looking back on this point. Like, the Dolphins are going to be completely steamrolling the Raiders at this point. There's going to be no concerns, nothing to worry about. And, you know, defense is holding strong. They're doing their thing. But then, with about a minute left in the half, brutal turnover. Julian Hill had it ripped out. Dolphins should have been in a position to maybe, like, get the double score. And instead, they give up brutal fumble, ends up in a field goal, go into halftime, come out, Tua goes deep to Waddle, picked off. So you know how Mike McDaniel loves that double. He loves the double chance. He loves getting the ball at the end of the half to go and get the ball at halftime. You know, that's his strategy. That's what he loves. And both of them really end up in turnover. Now, he did end up actually with like a second left, end up trying to throw a deep pass to Robbie Chosen. Seemed a little bit. Look, Mike McDaniel was trying to make things happen today. You know, McCoachin was out there. I don't know if it was for Hard Knocks. He was trying to make some things happen. He was taking some risks. He was doing some near reckless stuff, to be honest with you. And it did not end up in the Dolphins' benefit. So, yeah, they were doing some pretty reckless stuff, but the Dolphins come out. They again turn the ball over. Thankfully, the defense just kept up with a big stand like every time. You know, every time it felt like the Dolphins, man, that's a really brutal turnover. Defense came through with a big stand. And so that's the thing that you have to be thankful with them. Right in the next drive, Tua to Tyreek again. They cross the 100 yards threshold. You know, but there was a lot of in the second half. Dolphins are marching. They just like once they got to like that sweet spot, they got into third down, like they just stalled out, and so it started becoming the Jason Sanders show. And that was a tough thing to see. You know, that was the you know, they'd always feel like they were marching. And once they got to a red, which is not par for the course of them. Usually when they get in the red zone, the Dolphins are amazing. That's usually their calling card. They're one of the most efficient teams when it comes to red zone trips there is. And today, you know, 3 of 11 on third down, just couldn't get it going. You know, it was just one of those days. It was one of those days, but you know, I think from my standpoint, I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, like, look, this could have ended up really bad when Hunter Renfrow goes willy-nilly down the field. And I was like, oh, by the way, I should let you know, I'm at my son's flag football game as it's happening, and they just won. And I'm very happy for them. They finished the season off. They won, they rattled off 4 straight wins to end the season. They smoked everybody, smoked the only other team that had a better record than them this in the league today, which I supposedly was, whatever. I'm not going to do Little League flag football father thing, but they smoked them. And I should have been in delight. And as I'm walking down the ramp from the stands, I'm like, no, because Hunter Renfro's going willy-nilly. Nobody can seem to tackle this guy, which is like par for Hunter Renfro's career. But thankfully, his fellow Clemson Tiger, Christian Wilkins, blew up Aiden O'Connell, and he threw a interception to Jalen Phillips, who, again, just has a monster day. Talked this week about his confidence and where he was at mentally and whatever the hell you want to say. This Dolphins defense has rounded into such a great form, and you just have to be pleased with what Vic Fangio is doing. Like, OnlyFans is open for business, and business is booming. Jalen Phillips, I mean, the guy has been a monster. The whole defense has been a monster. But then, the game ends in probably the perfect way, and that was Jalen Ramsey with this sick interception in the end zone. And the Dolphins find themselves with a 20-13 win. It was not pretty. It was a little bit gut-wrenching. But you win. And you win it against, I think, a feisty Las Vegas team that's believing in itself. You made some really, really dumb mistakes. This could have been a game that blew up in your face. It didn't. And now you got the short turnaround week. You obviously got to go out to New York for the Black Friday game this week. That's going to be on Amazon Prime. We're going to be stuck watching that show pony, Ryan Fitzpatrick, unfortunately. 3 o'clock kickoff on Friday. And currently, as I do this show, as I do this recap, Buffalo is up 16-0 with 2 minutes left there in the first half. So that's where we are at with that. But Miami gets it done. They're able to pull this one out. And right now find themselves at 7-3, which is a good spot. You know, right now you look around this conference with Joe Burrow going down. You're in a fantastic spot. You're in a fantastic spot. You know, the only teams right now that have more wins than you are the Ravens at 8-3. Cleveland won today. That made themselves 7-3. Jacksonville got a win today. They're 7-3. So you keep pace with everybody there. Kansas City plays tomorrow. They play Philadelphia. So, you know, you'd have to finish ahead of them. Obviously, they got the win over you. But, yeah, it was important to pull this one out today. It was important to pull this one out regardless of how ugly the turnovers were. And you'll look back and say, man, the numbers were good. It's just like the Dolphins got to close a lot better than that. But on the bright side of things, this defense absolutely looks like it's rounded into form, and they are the real deal. So, quick week. Get ready for these bastard Jets and get after it.